a cold game because I think it was sometime in like November or something. But she has her coffee and she walks in, bumps into someone, spills coffee on them. The person goes, and she's in all Bears gear. The person goes, "It's okay, honey. We just hope you're having a great time." And I was just like, this is it. Like, that's what's so funny about everyone like being rude to Packer fans is they're the nicest fans on earth.
Welcome to Tales from the Tundra, a show that captures one team's history told through the eyes of the fan. My name is Ben, and today Thomas joins the show. During our conversation, we talk about a lot of things, and honestly, it was such a fun conversation. This is kind of an odd one because we didn't focus solely on Thomas. We had a lot of just conversation, and it was such a fun time. We did still capture his story, though. Don't worry. But during our conversation, we talk about how he became a Packers fan. We talk about his many trips to Wisconsin, and namely his first trip that he took his now wife to Wisconsin. That was a fun one. And honestly, we just had a good conversation. It was such a fun time talking with Thomas. I hope you guys enjoy it as much as I did. So without delaying any further, let's get into this thing. This is episode 15 of Tales from the Tundra with Thomas. Enjoy. Sometimes when I do this show, I go into these episodes completely blind. I have no idea anything about the guests, and today is one of those examples. Thomas had followed me on Instagram. He messaged me that he'd be interested in joining the show. I did a 30-second creep on his Instagram profile, and I said, this looks like a guy who's going to be a good time. And yeah, we set up a date to get him on the show, and honestly, it was such a fun episode. But one thing I had no idea about is, how do you become a Packers fan when you are not in Wisconsin and not in Green Bay? I have no idea his roots. I have no idea his origin. He's on the West Coast now. I see he's bounced around a little bit. I was super curious to get into that with Thomas. So that's where we kick off things today. As always, is how did Thomas become a Packers fan?
No, I was born in Illinois.
Okay,
yeah.
So and did you grow up in Illinois?
Yeah, I lived there until I was 17. So I was born and raised, but my dad. So in the 1960s, my dad was like probably like 10, and his uncle took him to a Packers Bears game in Soldier Field, and he fell in love with the Packers because it's the 60s Packers.
Was his uncle like hoping it was going to go the other way, like he was going to be a Bears fan, and then he just falls in love with the Packers?
And thank God, every day, like everyone, even like when I bartend out here, people are always like, you're from Chicago and you're a Packers fan? I was like, yeah, thank God. Like, could you imagine that? Like, dude, I would not have seen a Super Bowl in my lifetime. No. I would have to deal with like Caleb Williams as my quarterback. Like,
and that might be even the positive side of things.
That's like the best of it.
Yeah,
that's
right.
They're high end right now.
Although I did love Jay Cutler. Like even
Jay.
Like, yeah, even as from like from a perspective of a Bears or of a Packers fan, but like I liked him as a quarterback. I thought he was like fun to watch.
Yeah.
I like that he didn't give a shit about anything. He was just like out there having fun. Well, not really having fun, but he was just out there like throwing.
Yeah, he was so miserable.
You know, he's like the gunslinger, right? He was just out there.
He was like a Brett Favre light.
Yeah, without having fun. It was just like miserable Brett Favre. But I thought it was like fun to watch the arm talent he had. And I think I was extra passionate because it worked well in our favor a lot.
Well, he threw to us a lot.
Yeah,
that's the thing.
That's why I'm so fond of him.
I remember being like little and like crying after the Packers lost to the Broncos to the Super Bowl because I was like, I'm like what 30? I turned 38 this month.
Okay, so we're pretty similar in age because those were the two formidable games that really shaped me as a fan. So.
Yeah, because I remember watching Reggie White, Desmond Howard. Obviously, you remember that kickoff, and then and then I remember the next year, like I don't want to go to school. Everyone's gonna make fun of me because the Packers lost and stuff like that. So
was it tough? Because when we were, you're a couple of years older than me, so when you might have been out of the area then, I guess, at that point when the Bears went to the Super Bowl.
Oh, well,
because I think that was 2005.
Oh, yeah. I was graduating high school that year. So, yeah, I was out of it. I was just remember, like, actively rooting against them in that Super Bowl. Like, I was like, oh, no, they get the kickoff return for a touchdown. and then it was great just watching it collapse.
Just after that, the Rex Grossman takeover there.
Yeah, it's like we watched that. We watched the Cubs choke with Bartman. Like we had all these great Chicago moments.
So are you a Cubs hater then too?
Yeah, I hate the Cubs.
Okay, so it probably crushed you when they won the World Series back in
At that
16
time,
or whatever it
I
was.
was actually in Illinois that time hanging with my friends, and it was wild when they won.
I believe it.
Like we were walking around like Wrigleyville at that time, and it was crazy. It was like the streets are shut down, like fireworks are going off, things are breaking, and you're like, we should probably go. Like this is like it's Chicago partying. That's like when the Bulls won over and over. I remember like even I like, grew up in Oak Park, Illinois. And that's,
dude,
like,
I didn't
away
even think about that dynasty.
It was insane. It was just like it was like cars going crazy, like fireworks, gunshots, everything just going crazy. And we were in the burbs, like and like in like a half hour west of Chicago, and it was still like we were like, what is going on?
So were you are you like a Illinois anti-fan of everything, like, or
no,
like,
I love the Blackhawks.
Okay, you like the
Blackhawks, and then Sox, I'll root for them.
Okay,
because we like grew up going to those games.
I didn't know if you drew that line in the sand of like, dude,
no,
I am hating every single team and just like being.
I love hockey and I love the Hawks. Like I got to go to the Stanley Cup game. That was insane. And
I'm not like a Blackhawks fan. I like hockey as a whole, but I don't know that I necessarily have a fan.
You guys need a team. It's so wild that Wisconsin doesn't have a team. It makes no sense. The Badgers are one of the best in college.
I don't want to like latch on to the Wild. Like I feel like I should like I feel like I should almost like write a letter to every single NHL franchise and just say who needs a fan, right? And I also think I struggle with like how sporadic the schedule can kind of be. When I was younger, I liked the Red Wings, but I think it was just because they won. And I feel like now as an adult, I feel like I should be a mature adult and just find a team. But the schedule being a little bit more sporadic, I think makes it harder for me to watch. But I love watching hockey. So
and with like no like emotional connection, it's hard. Like even watching like good hockey, like this playoffs have been really fun this year, so I've like watched more of those. But it's so much more fun to watch when you like care about your team. Like football, I honestly mainly just watch the Packers during season.
I'm pretty much with you, yeah.
Because I don't have any emotion in it, so like I can't be like, yeah, I hope you win. Like I'll root against the Bears. That's kind of like what I do. Like that's the only time. Like because this year I was just like my friends. We have a group chat, all of us Packer fans, and they'll just text me, be like, Caleb Williams stat line at halftime, like -6 yards, and you're like, this isn't real. This isn't real.
There are a few things I hope more than him just being a huge flop for how like all the like reports of stuff coming out of like him potentially wanting a stake in ownership and like now the report coming out of him not wanting to be there at all and trying to force a trade and lawyers being involved. Like, dude, I kind of hope he just falls on his face. I don't know. Like he seems like a nice enough guy. I don't know anything about him, but just the whole ego thing of everything. I'm just like, man, I hope he just whiffs, and I hope they can see Jaden Daniels go out and be like really successful.
I love it.
And have it be like a Pat Mahomes thing all over again.
They deserve that. It's the thing with the Chicago franchise is like even growing up with it, it's the most delusional fan base in history. Like there's not another team that will tell you they're going to win the Super Bowl every year. I've never met another team that says that other than them. Like
they're the off-season champions every year, man.
Yeah, dude, they're like on 10 in a row, like a decade of dominance. And it just blows my mind that like every year, and it's like I deleted Twitter because of Bear fans.
Dude, I don't blame you.
It was so rotten. Like Twitter's gotten way worse now, but it was so rotten back then that I was just like, I can't do it. You guys like anytime. And then I remember I was hammered after we beat the Bears one time, and I just started responding to tweets that people were talking shit to me, and I was like, did you see what happened? And just like the lamest things ever, but like, hey, what happened today? I missed it. Like just being like an idiot. And I was like, all right, it's time to get off of social media like that. I can't.
And then it makes it way worse.
Yeah, and then even like Reddit,
when you like sober up, dude, all of those. Like, because my Facebook page has a decent following, and I get a lot of traction on some posts. And when Lions fans were really bad this year, but in 2018 when Bears were good that year, Dude, it's wild how they come out of the woodwork too. And you're just
Oh
like,
yeah.
what are you guys doing here? Where have you been? Like, you just come out of the woodwork and just start bashing.
Well, it's wild. They lost, like they beat us the last game of the season to our backups.
Yeah.
Literally, Jordan Love didn't play that half, and like we had nothing to prove in that game. We pulled everyone, and they acted like they won the Super Bowl. Like,
Dude.
and the fact that their players were trying to like Lambo leap and celebrate like they won the Super Bowl. Like, dog, you're going home. You like no one
Hang the
cares.
banner, man. Hang the banner.
You guys won 5 games or whatever they won last year. I don't even know. Like, it was not a lot either way. Like, I've never watched a worse team. I don't think I've watched a worse offense ever in the history of the NFL.
We got you fired up on Bears talk. I love it.
Oh yeah. Yeah, I just
I get it though, because I grew up on the other side of Wisconsin around Vikings fans. So Vikings, like, dude, the Vikings do the same thing to me, right? I actually didn't grow up hating the Bears. I because we didn't see them much in my area. I was like, oh, I kind of like the Bears are in our rival, like they're an old franchise like us. But it was more of like a respect thing because I didn't deal with the fan base. But Viking fans, man, I hate the Vikings more than anything because I grew up with it. So I'm curious. With that being said, like, do you have that hatred for the Vikings, or is it just more like, oh, they're a rival, it's fine?
So it like my hate shifts. like so the Bears, like for a long time, like I didn't care about them. Like they weren't relevant.
Yeah.
But now they've just gotten so loud that you're to the point where you're just annoyed with the fan base. Like I don't care about the Bears. They're like they're never gonna be good. They have Ryan, whatever Ryan they're on as their GM now. Because I always get it messed up because they have like 6 different Ryans in the last like years. And I just don't care. And then the Vikings, like I hated them for a long time because they were so good. And they were just chirping and that horn and Brett Favre and all of that stuff.
Worst.
The horn, yeah. And then now it's the stupid skull chant that they stole from a soccer team. Like they didn't even make this up. Like they act like it's part of their history. Like it happened like 2 years ago at your USA Bank Stadium.
Yeah, right. Exactly. I think it was like the opening game at that stadium, right? They just they elected this chant that's going to be their chant now.
Yeah, and then so I didn't like them. Then I've got like a couple friends that are Viking fans, and we have like good banter and stuff. Like we play disc golf together, and we'll always like we'll play in this like putting league where you're playing against each other. And whenever we play, I always look gritty if I beat him and stuff like that, and just be like, and I can't gritty at all because I'm like the whitest human being on earth.
Well, yeah, so. we're in our like later 30s, white. The gritty's out. The gritty's
it's
out.
Not, sure. It's not good. It's not good. But I try it, and he gets the picture. But this year, so for the first game of the season, we made a bet. Like whoever loses has to wear a Vikings hat or a Packers hat every week to putting league that we go to every Monday. And of course they lose, but we were at a Packers bar watching it, and he was freaking out when the comeback started to happen that first game. But he loved it. But like when you have a friend that's like a good person and a good fan, it like changes your hate. But then the Lions stepped up and were like, FTP, we own the North.
Oh my God. Oh, the whole FTP thing. Like, I don't understand. Every franchise in the NFC North is saying FTP, and if you're listening and you don't know what FTP is, it's fuck the Packers. But it's like their motto for whatever reason. All of the NFC North fans, that's what they chant, and it's so weird to live so rent free in their heads, isn't it? Like they act like beating us is like the mountaintop.
Yeah, like when we lose to them, I'm like, damn, that sucks. All right, what's next?
Yeah.
Like that's it.
You're focused on different things rather than just beating the Lions, Vikings, and Bears.
Yeah, and then even with the new coach for the Bears, Ben Johnson. Yeah, him talking shit on LaFleur right away.
Ben Johnson for the Bears. I was thinking for the Lions.
I don't even know. Oh yeah.
Dan Campbell. I got my wires crossed. But yeah, Ben Johnson talking shit about LaFleur. Like,
yeah, and LaFleur's like, I don't know him. And then he's like, I enjoy beating him twice a year every year. And I was like, you're with the Lions for 5 years. You won 3 games in the last 4 years against us.
Hey, it's Ben. I wanted to draw the giveaway winner for last week's episode. Before I do, as always, I want to say thank you so much to Nicolay Law for making these possible. Without them, it wouldn't be possible. So if you are injured, get Nicolay. Let's see who we got this week. We're gonna do the word of the week for this week's episode in another break, so be on the lookout for that. But this week's winner is, this feels like a good one, Luke F. Congratulations, Luke. Let's take a gander and see what you won. A Donnie Anderson signed 8x10. Congratulations, Luke. I appreciate everyone's support on this show. I'll be sure to get that package out to you probably next week. So not this week that you're listening to this. Thank you all so much for your support. And once again, thank you to Nikolai Law for making these giveaways possible and sponsoring this show. I can't thank them enough. So let's get back to our episode with Thomas. You know, that's another thing with the Bears. Talking about the Bears, is like all of their coaches come in and the presser they make is about beating the Packers. Yeah. Like you saw that with
Lovie Smith.
Yeah. Oh, I'm gonna take the division back from the Packers. Or
Ryan
something like that.
Ryan GM did it too.
Yeah, dude. All
We're
of them
take the
that's
North
like,
and never give it back.
That's their opening statement every single time is beating the Packers.
And
you're like, wow, that's wild. Because when the Packers hire coaches, it's like, hey, we want to win championships. We're not like
the end. I don't care. Like, even if we don't beat our divisions every game, I don't care.
Dude, that's just it. Like,
if we hit 12 wins, I'm happy.
Yeah, when during the season, you know, people are very hot and cold on things, and it's like you lose to a divisional opponent. And last year sucked, right? You only beat the divisional opponent one time. I'm guessing it's more of an anomaly than anything, but like fans act like that you need to win all 17 games to even have a chance in the playoffs. And it's like, just breathe. It's a long stretch. You can have a couple bad games and it doesn't dictate anything come January, February. Yeah. I don't know, man.
And it'd be different if we lost to really bad teams.
Yeah.
But they're not. Like,
dude,
the Vikings and Lions are both very good football teams.
And I think the Bears are going to even take more of a step up if their offensive line does its job. Like, I think the NFC North.
I don't think Caleb Williams is good. He wasn't good at USC. Like, if you look at his stats, when he played like top 10 teams or top 25 teams, they were abysmal. He was like just throwing interceptions like crazy and stuff like that. And then his record was trash against them. And I just think, I don't know. If I ever, and this isn't against like mental health or men crying, but if my quarterback went into the stands and cried into his mother's arms, I don't know how I would feel about that. And I'm all for men like crying and stuff like that, but to do that on national TV, and
it's a weird look for like, I don't know, from like a leadership perspective. Yeah.
Like, could you imagine if you're like, your boss was like, man, we just took an L at work. I'm gonna go cry real quick into the secretary's arm.
You know, and like I think if you'd have like been with his teammates crying or something like that, I think no one would have like batted an eye about it. But it is a little bit different of a dynamic to be like climbing in the stands and doing. It's a first
finding your mom.
Sure. Yeah, it's a first for sure. I do want to ask you before I totally forget.
Oh yeah, I go on tangents.
No, you're good, man. That's perfect for a podcast. You talked about the Stanley Cup finals. Oh, yeah. I'm curious on how that is. I was gonna say, even though I'm not a fan of any particular team, I like hockey, and I'm curious on how that atmosphere was to be at like the Stanley Cup's final.
It was insane. So this was, let me see. I got the ticket. It was I have it framed, of course.
Are tickets like stupid expensive?
Well, I lucked out super hard. So this ticket was $250 is what I paid for a ticket. It was a club level seat, and it was my friend's season tickets. So like you can see it from it.
Dude, that's awesome.
Yeah, and so what year was this? Yeah, 2015. So my friend, he's like, "Hey, you want to come to a game?" And I was like, "Yeah, I'll find a way. I got points. I'll find a way to fly out there." And he's like, "All right, cool. It'll be cost." And I was like, "Deal." So literally, I got to the stadium probably 2 hours before they even opened because my friend was coming from work, and I was just there, and I was like, I'm just going to wait around the stadium until I can go in. The second I can go in, I'm going in. Like, I just waited. And I'm a huge beer guy, and Goose Island at the time would release a different Bourbon County stout, their barrel-aged stout, a different variation. So they released, for the Stanley Cup finals, they released their like super fancy proprietors blend, which is like their special, like Chicago only one. And they released it on draft at the stadium. So wow. I walk in, and I get that. And it's like a 15% beer, and that's how I start my day. And I was like, I want more of this, but I want to be sober enough so I can remember this.
Right.
Like I'll switch to light beer after this. And it was so crazy because like our seats like are right above the goal, and it's the third period, and we're up by 1 against the Lightning, and it's going crazy because there's like a minute left, and they're just like pestering the goalie. Like they've got 6 men on the ice, they're going crazy, the crowd's going insane, and we're all just like screaming. And I don't know if you've ever gone to a Blackhawks game, like the energy level at those are insane. Like to start the game, they do the national anthem, and everyone claps and screams as loud as they can. And
That's
they've done that.
awesome.
It all started from like when Desert Storm was going on, and then they like that was like one of the first hockey games back, and they got the crowd all into it. And I might be off with, I just remember it was around Desert Storm, and that was
Right.
like when it was happening, and everyone just started clapping for the anthem. And they've got like an opera singer who does it, and it's like I took my wife to a game there, and she got chills because it's so loud and everyone's clapping and screaming and
That sounds
just
incredible.
losing it for this anthem. And it was the wildest thing. And that same energy was for the game, and it was crazy to see. So it was
So
next level.
I'm unaware of that championship run for them. Was that the game where they won the championship?
No, they won the next game.
Okay. But
Yeah,
even
this is the
I
one
mean,
that
even
had
still,
teetered the
like
series. Yeah,
when you're there and it's like building up to that moment, that's incredible.
it was crazy.
When did you make your first trip to Green Bay?
So my first trip was actually with my friend who's a Bears fan, of course. It was a Thursday night game against the Bears. So it's Packers Bears. We had tickets on like the 15-yard line. And we saw like Devontae score there.
Okay.
But the first thing we go to Lambeau, and I'm like, I know where we're gonna park. We're gonna find a neighborhood spot. She's like, what? I was like, yeah, we're gonna park in the neighborhood because like I knew about it, and I was
Yeah.
like, fuck it, like we're gonna go. Like I didn't buy parking pass. I'm not buying a parking pass.
No, never
So
pay for parking.
yeah, exactly. So we'll pay like $10 for parking.
Yeah, right.
So
Yeah, but yeah, don't overpay.
no, yeah. So we pay for that. Like we walk in, and then it's a cold game because I think it was sometime in like November or something. But she has her coffee, and she walks in, bumps into someone, spills coffee on them. The person goes, and she's in all
Oh.
Bears gear. The person goes, "It's okay, honey. We just hope you're having a great time." And I was just like, this is it. Like that's what's so funny about everyone like being rude to Packer fans is they're the nicest fans on earth.
Dude,
And it blows my mind that they're so mean.
it is true. Like we kill people with kindness when they come up here.
Yeah,
It's just
it's
like
great.
I have a friend that's an Eagles fan,
Oh
and
God.
he's from Philly, and
Even
he
oh God again.
yeah, right. And he said when he went to his first Packers game, he was like, hyping up for the game, right? Like getting ready, that Philly mindset. And then the Midwest nice just hits you and breaks you down while you're here. And before you know it, you're just like shaking hands with everyone, telling them good game. And you're just like, what happened? Like I'm supposed to be like trash talking and like whatever. And
That they
here I
can't.
am like having good memories with people and making friends. So you just that's how we beat them down, is by killing them with kindness.
I love that. That's how like my whole life is just being Midwest nice now. It's
Dude,
just like everything I do. Like
well,
everyone's
especially on
like,
the West Coast, dude, that throws off
oh
a
my
lot of
God.
people over there because they don't. I think a lot of people over there, because I've been to Phoenix,
People
and I
aren't the
think people
nicest here.
I think you're trying to get something out of them, or
Oh yeah.
like swindle them by being nice when really you're just like, oh, I'm from the Midwest.
Oh,
Sorry, like yeah, maybe they're a little bit more used to it because of all the snowbirds, but
there's so many transplants here.
yeah, it's well, and Packers fans in general are
Yeah.
just nuts there.
The
When
Packers
did you
bar we
move
go
out
to.
there?
I moved out here 8 years ago,
Okay.
but I lived in New Mexico before that, and in Seattle and Denver too.
Damn, so you're just like kind of all over the place.
Yeah, but I've been here for like 8 years now,
Okay.
so I love it here. It's great. The weather's awesome. Summers suck, but the rest of the year is great.
Yeah, we talked about before we started recording that you want to spend the summers in Wisconsin or get a
Oh
little
my
rental house
gosh, I
here.
want to go so bad. Like I just want to. I just want to. Honestly, my dream would be to own a dive bar in somewhere in Wisconsin and just like disappear off the grid.
Dude,
Like I just show up, I work, I go back to my cabin wherever it is, and then that's it. That's my life.
honestly, you sound like a lot of people that live in small town Wisconsin.
I know. I love it. That's what I want so bad.
It's wild, and I'm sure the Phoenix area has a lot of this, especially if you get outside of the the areas that you're in. But it's wild here in Wisconsin. You can be in the smallest of towns driving through, and it's so desolate. They're not even towns; they're like unincorporated
Yeah.
areas, and there's always a bar, and the
Always.
bar is always busy. Like the whole town is at the bar, and you're just like, man, it's just like it's wild for me because I don't drink. So like I am like being Wisconsinite and not drinking. People think
This is
I'm
like a sin.
yeah. People think so many people think I'm like a recovering alcoholic, but really it's
Right,
just
here's
like,
my chip.
like yeah, exactly. You know, I joke. I make probably inappropriate jokes about that every once in a while. Like when
Right.
my wife and I got married, I was saying to her, people might come up and ask to buy me a drink. Like, should I tell them I'm 3 years sober? She's
Oh
like, do
no.
not say that.
Not.
Do not say that. And she's like, people are actually going through it. And I'm like, yeah, you're right. You're right.
You're
but,
right. It's
yeah,
fair.
but it is weird. Be like, people treat me like I'm an alcoholic, but I'll drink every like once in a while, but it just doesn't. I wish I liked beer because I'm a big coffee guy and I love trying different coffees.
Yeah.
And I wish I had that for beer. Like I wish I
Yeah.
could go to different breweries. With the beer thing, because you do. If I crept on you a little bit,
Yeah.
but you do like distribution, right? Beer distribution and
Yeah. So I'm actually working on bringing. Actually, I just got Young Blood Brewing Co. out of Madison,
okay,
and then I just got Eagle Park and out of Milwaukee, and same with MKE out of Milwaukee.
that's awesome. So
So
you're
I had
bringing them
a
out into that area. Is that
yeah. So I
that
just bring like the fun craft beer out here, and I was like, I need some Wisconsin brands, and literally my Billy from Youngblood, he might actually listen to this. I wouldn't be surprised because he's a diehard Packer fan.
dude, I love it.
And I'm like, I had to do a Google Meet to meet him and like talk to him. He's like, yeah, I'd love to talk to you about distro. And I was like, all right, cool. And I get on, it's a Monday and the Packers just won. So I've got like my Packer sweater on, Packer hat. And he gets on, he's like, this call is going to go great. Can already tell. And then we literally just start talking. And then I was like, yeah, last time was Wisconsin. Like I got engaged. And then like the time before that, I played in a hockey tournament. He's like, which one? I was like, Eagle River. And he goes, yeah, this jersey's from Eagle River. Yeah. And he's like, we play in it every year. So I'm literally texting him today about playing on his team now. So I might play with him.
That's so awesome. Small world stuff, man, for sure.
Oh my gosh. Eagle River, that tournament is so ridiculous. So your team's like 5 people because you're playing on a giant lake, but it's a pond hockey. And it's like 3-on-3, no goalie or anything like that. So you got 5 skaters total. After each game, they give you 2 12-packs.
Dang.
Like Wisconsin knows how to party, and it's so ridiculous because I shouldn't say this, but I will. I was the DD. And you know what a DD in Wisconsin is? It's like I drink Busch Light.
Yeah, you drink the light beer.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, so, and I was the only one who knew how to drive in snow. So like we land in Minnesota, and because it's closer to Eagle River than landing in Milwaukee.
Yeah.
So because you just drive right west, and we go there, and like I'm driving, and it's a blizzard, of course, and like literally just like staring at the lines in the road to know where I'm at. It's like that bad. Oh. And I'm like, hey, as soon as I cross into Wisconsin, I'm like, hey, we'll grab a box of Spotted Cow, a 12-pack of Spotted Cow, and we'll grab some cheese curds and an energy drink. This is all I need to get to get there. So first town we get to and we see a bar, we're going in it. So we get to Rhinelander, and I don't know if you've ever been to Rhinelander. Yeah. It's a very small town, as you know. And I'm like driving around, and I was like, "Where's a bar? Where's a bar?" And it's like whiteout too. Like it's so snowy. And then the first thing we find is a bowling alley, and we're like, "Hell yeah!" You go in, the ceilings are like 7 feet tall. Like you can almost hear it. You can see all the smoke that's been there, and and there's two or three bars in this one bowling alley. And you're like, what? They have like bowling alley bars. Then they have a separate bar.
Yep.
So we go in there, and I was like, yeah, I'll do a Spotted Cow because like when in Rome, and they're like, do you want to? I was like, I'll do 4 Spotted Cows. They're like, do you want just do a pitcher instead? I was like, how much is the pitcher? They're like $15, and it's 64 ounces. I was like, all right, we'll do 4 pitchers then. And yeah, so they upsell us. And then they're like, you want to play Shake a Day? And I was like, hell yeah, I do.
Dude, yeah,
and
of course.
And then I win. And I'm just sitting there with all my money, and the local is just like staring at me.
Just well,
I
of
went
course there's
twice that trip.
dude. Of course there's locals at the bar in a whiteout. Like, what
Oh,
else are you
the
gonna
bowling
do?
alley was packed. There was a league going on. They
Of
acted
course,
like nothing. There was like
of course,
snowmobiles in the parking lot. They're ready.
dude. That's the definition of Wisconsin. There's snowmobiles in the parking lot. Just so you went
Bowling alley
shake
is
a day
packed
twice
in
on
that
that trip.
trip. Yeah.
Dang.
Yeah, it was sick. And then one time I won like $5. The other time was like 25 or something. And
Still
it was
winning.
great. It was I don't think that whole trip I paid more than $2 for beer. It was fantastic.
I believe, especially when you're going to those small bars that are kind of in the middle of nowhere, all the stuff gets cheap.
We
I was gonna ask you how, as a beer guy, where does Spotted Cow rank for you? Because it's got a huge cult following. I don't, I don't drink. I've never
that
actually had a
Spotted
Spotted
Cow is
Cow.
my
So
first beer I drank legally in Wisconsin, legally being quoted because I
yeah,
was with my parents and I was 18 and they didn't ID
okay,
me. So I was like, "Oh, I'm drinking and technically you can."
yeah,
So that was like my first I was 18 or 19 drinking it. So like it always has that. So like now anytime I go to Wisconsin, I always bring beer back. Like my friend I was helping consult him on his new bar and he's like, "Here's some beer for you," and Spotted Cow.
dude, yes,
I just love it. It's nostalgic. It's a very good beer for what it
yeah,
is. It's a super light, easy drinking beer. So and it's just home. Like it just reminds me of like I've like adopted Wisconsin as like my second home because like I just love the people there. I love everything. Like last year we got engaged in Milwaukee, or 2 years ago we got engaged in Milwaukee,
okay,
and so like literally, my friend and I were planning. I'm in upstate New York planning this engagement with two of my friends. Like one owns they each own breweries, and it's Kyle from Horace and Paul from Mortalis, and we're planning this engagement. He's there like, you got to get pictures, all this stuff. My sister-in-law lives in Sheboygan. They got the lake right there. We can get it taken care of. And I was like, hell yeah, we'll do this. Like 3 days before.
I'm gonna cut you off quick. Is
Okay,
your fiance or your wife now? Is she from Arizona?
yeah,
Had she been to Milwaukee or
nope.
anything? Okay. Okay. So 3 days before.
Yeah, so 3 days before, I'm like, Wisconsin gets really dark really early. Shoot. I need a better plan. And so like I literally text people. I was like, hey, your friend lives in Wisconsin. Like, where should I propose? And he's like, art museum. I was like, all right, perfect. So I'm like, we get to Wisconsin. Like she has a feeling it's gonna happen, doesn't know when though.
Yeah. They
And
always
so we get
know. They always know.
yeah. She like had her nails done, everything. Like
Of
she was ready
course.
for it.
She's ready. The trip's
And
coming up.
like
We're ready.
yeah, exactly. So I was like, I want to get this done because the sooner I get it done, the better mood she's going to be in. Because if I wait, she's just going to get madder and madder.
Yeah.
So
Dude,
I was
and then
like,
the anxiety too. I remember
yeah,
when I proposed, dude, I was like anxious as hell all day, just ready for it.
it's so nerve wracking. Like, which they're going to say yes. Like they
Yeah.
picked out the ring. Like
Right.
they want to say yes. So like you're doing this, and like we go there, and we're in front of the giant glass wall, looking out at the lake, and I get on knee, and she's like taking pictures, and I'm like sitting there like, please turn around, please turn around. And then she finally does. And I was like, I like went blacked out because I was like, I don't know what to say. I was like, Nicole, will you marry me? Like, I don't know what to do.
Yeah.
And then we go down to she says yes. We go down to the gift shop in cafe. And of course they have Spotted Cow. So we drink a Spotted Cow to cheers.
Was that her first Spotted Cow then?
Yeah.
Dude, what a
I didn't even think
way
about
to
that.
start. What a way to kick off the
Right.
Spotted Cow.
Yeah, so we do that, and then we still had reservations in Sheboygan though, because the engagement was gonna be up there. So like at Stefanos,
Okay.
which is bomb, and it's amazing. So we're like, all right, we'll go up there, we'll beat traffic because like we're used to a place where there's traffic. Milwaukee to Sheboygan, not a lot of traffic.
No.
So we're like,
Probably
all right,
not.
we'll go to a couple bars there. We walk into this one bar, and this is like my quintessential Wisconsin story because we walked into this bar. Everyone looks at us because we're dressed nice. And they're like, y'all want a shot? I'm like, yeah, of course. We walk in, get a shot. Then this guy moves his jacket. He's like, y'all can sit here. We're like, perfect. I was like, what are you drinking? He's like, MGD. And I was like, I have not seen MGD in years. So I was like, awesome. I'll take one. I'll buy him one. And my wife will take a Miller Lite. Then they're like, "Oh, you just got engaged. Here's some pull tabs, and here's another beer. And do you want a shot?" We're like, "Yeah, sure." So like we're pretty toasty. And then I was like, "Shoot, our reservation's coming up. I gotta go bathroom. You pay the tab. I'll take care of tip. I come out. I was like, Nicole, how much was the tab? And she looks at me and she goes, it was $16. We had 9 drinks. And we're like, what? I was like, are you serious? She's like, yeah. And I was like, all right. I leave him like $25. And the guy goes, the bartender's like, are you serious? And I was like, yeah. Like, here you go. And that was like, it was so ridiculous that like for $40 we got 9 drinks, and like out here you can't do that. So
No, yeah,
everyone was so we were so happy, and everyone there was so nice to us.
that's that Midwest again, man. Like, I'm sure your wife is probably not familiar with pull tabs at all, because I don't think those exist in the West Coast.
No, but we my friends opened a bar here and they've got pull tabs for it.
Really?
It's sick. Yeah, you just sit there and shred them.
There's hope for the West Coast yet, man.
Yeah. Arizona though, there's like the Packer bar has pull tabs too. Like,
okay.
Yeah, the Packers bar is like it's like 2 minutes away from my house. It's dollar Jello shots for charity.
Which one is it?
It's Stadium Club.
Okay, I'll have to ask.
Oh, you should tell your friends. I'll go watch games with them.
Dude, I'm sure because I do have my friends that are out there are from Green Bay, because we all work for the same company, and Green Bay has a headquarters, and they're from Green Bay, and so they do go to different Packers bars. I know there's a few of them in the area, but you said it was one more time for me.
Stadium Club.
Stadium Club. Okay, it's kind of like Stadium View.
That's probably why
Stadium Club. I'll have to ask them, because I'm sure they've been to it. They've been to a couple Packers bars, but they have pull tabs and dollar shots.
Dollar Jello shots. So during the game, they're like, these are for charity. Here's Jello shots, and we're like, all right, cool. I'll buy like 15. Here we go. Like everyone gets multiple, and you're just handing them out because they're all green and yellow. You walk in, and they give you kickoff cheese. So you get a little cube of cheese and a raffle ticket. Only for Packer fans. If you're wearing another team jersey, you don't get it.
I love that. I'm sure they stay pretty busy then too, with all the transplants there.
There's probably for Packer games like 200 to 300 people in there.
Whoa,
it's insane. Like it's a huge bar that is. If you don't get there like 2 hours before, like when they open, you're not getting a seat, or you're sitting in like a weird spot. Yeah. Awesome.
That's awesome. That's like, those are the environments to watch games in if you're not in the area.
That's where we watched when the Packers Bears, going back to the Bears, is when Rodgers did the comeback where he was injured and came back. We watched that game there. Watching that there was insane.
Yeah, so talk to me about this now. So obviously halftime, I think they're down 20-0 or something like that.
Yeah, getting killed.
Rodgers left.
People are leaving.
Yeah. Okay, that was what I was going to ask. So how much did the bar empty out at halftime? Because I would assume most people are like,
there had to be like 25% had to leave. Yeah.
Wow. Still a good strong number of people sticking around though.
There was still a lot of people because we were celebrating hard. Like that game, like it was wild.
Yeah, who cares if Packers lose week 1? We're gonna rally. So what was that like, that environment when that comeback happens and that final? Dude, that place had to just erupt.
It was screaming, and everyone, like, that is like, it's like being at the stadium at that point where everyone's just like screaming, hugging each other, like high-fiving, beers going everywhere, like
winning the Super Bowl. I mean, those games are that emotional though. Those roller coaster swings of, we've been on some of the wrong side of them over the years.
Yeah.
And some pretty painful ones, but when you're on the right side, those are awesome. Dude, that's awesome. I'm gonna have to ask my friends if they've been.
Yeah, tell them to go, because now my wife's gonna be stoked because people who tailgate. So now I'm gonna hit you up and be like, hey, because she's like super nervous. I was like, Nicole, we can just walk anywhere and we'll find someone to tailgate with.
Yeah,
but she's like, I want to know someone
for the Washington game this year, right?
Yeah, dude. And then we'll be back out for the Ravens game.
Okay. Whoa, that's gonna be a cold one.
I can't wait.
Dude, that's going to be, because that's like right after
26th, 27th. Yeah, the 27th or 28th. Yeah, it's a flex game too.
Yeah,
and we have one of our friends works for the Packers, or a friend in the beer industry, a friend of a friend works for the Packers. So like one of my close friends, his good friend works for the Packers. So he's like, you get tickets and we'll get you on the field. So
dude, that's awesome.
I know. So this is the year I get to pull that off and do it. So
Yeah. Here's my suggestion for you for tailgating. Go to lot 1.
Okay. I'm
It's
writing this down.
it's the tailgate spot, lot 1. They do, at least in years past. It's a huge event. Like, dude, there's people that are like standing on this. I think they have like a fanbulance that they made. They're standing on like truck beds and they have like microphones and they're like singing and they're doing all this stuff. And they used to. I haven't went to lot 1 specifically in a while. I'm sure they still do the same thing because it's the same people that operate it. They used to do shot skis
Oh,
for
heck
like
yeah.
charity donations. So it's like free shots, but you just donate to charity. But yeah, so they're just doing shot skis. It's that's the party to be at. The only caveat is I don't know that they have food. So if you're like, hey, I want to get a brat with people, I always just tell people, like you said, just walk up to people and make a conversation. And people are
Yeah,
gonna,
here's a beer. Like walk up with
yeah,
a 12-pack.
yeah, people are gonna be like, oh, you hungry? We got extra brats. Come on, So it's easy. It's easy to bump into a tailgate. But lot 1, I
Okay.
couldn't recommend anyone else. But checking out lot 1, they have like flags. You're at the right spot because they have a huge flag that says lot 1, like on their flag, and it's there's a lot of people that
Is that
are
where
in.
Ramage goes?
Yeah, he's usually in that area too.
That dude's so funny.
Dude, he's such a character.
He's a
He
riot.
he dude, he's a dude. I love
Matt, if you're
He's
listening to this, I want to do a shot with you when I'm in Wisconsin.
dude, I'll text him after this and I'll let him know. Maybe
Please,
we
I
can
would
link that
love
up.
to. That guy he cracks me up, man. He's
Dude,
like one of the
he is
funniest, like,
wild.
it's
I
so
shared
funny,
this
man.
I shared this story, I think, on a live show I did, but I saw him at the draft. And I've known
Oh,
Matt for
how
a
was
long.
that?
Dude, the draft was wild. It
Oh
was a
my
weird
God. I'm
experience
so
because it
jealous.
was like so friendly, right? Everyone's just so like having a good time, and
Yeah.
it was cool to see that many people enjoying Green Bay or coming to Green Bay for the first time and seeing what Green Bay was like. And then after the fact, you saw like the TikToks of like, man, people in Green Bay are just so nice. It's so nice, so nice.
Oh
So
yeah.
it was super cool. But I saw Matt there, and I took out my phone and I took off sprinting. I've known Matt for a long time now, and I took off my phone and I took off sprinting, and I like ran up to him. I threw my arm around him. I was like, "Oh my God, Matt Ramage, take a picture!" I scared the hell out of him, man. Like the clip of Jonah Hill like standing on the street and Leonardo DiCaprio sprints up on him, acting like paparazzi and scares
Uh,
Jonah Hill. Same exact scene, dude.
the
Matt
same
didn't
vibe.
recognize me. I had my beanie on because it was kind of cold that morning, and I had sunglasses on. Dude, I scared the hell out of Matt. Hey, it's Ben. I wanted to give a quick shout out to Nicolay Law, the personal injury law firm who knows the Midwest because they're part of it. They're not some out of town firm guessing how things work around here. Nicolay Law is local. They live in communities they serve and understand what folks really need when things go wrong. Someone who shows up, listens, and gets results. If you've been injured and aren't sure what to do next, call Nicolay Law. They know how to deal with insurance companies and get you what's fair so you can focus on recovery. Call 1-855-NICOLAY or head to nicolaylaw.com and work with a team the Midwest trusts. That brings me to today's word of the week, which is local. Go to the form, click the link for the giveaway, and it's going to ask you for the word of the week. Put in local there for your chance to win a giveaway brought to you by Nicolay Law. Once again, huge thank you to Nicolay Law. Shout out to them. I love working with them, and I'm so thankful to work with them. Good luck on the entry, and let's get back to this episode with Thomas. But yeah, I hopefully I can get down there then when you're in the area, and maybe we can link something up.
For this trip, I was like, I had a free flight because I had points, and I was like, we're getting a hotel in Green Bay, so we're staying in Green Bay on Wednesday, Thursday, and then leaving Friday morning.
Okay, because it's a Thursday night game, isn't it?
Yeah,
I forgot about that because it's.
I know. I'm trying to find tickets still.
It's the gold. I think it's the gold package game too, isn't it?
Mm-hmm.
I think tickets will be super easy for you because it's gold package.
Just wait until closer because right now they're like insane.
Dude,
but that's because the schedule just released.
Yeah, if you're a risk taker.
Yeah,
I'd say, and it's just going to be you and your wife, right? Like it's not a
two people.
Number of tickets. I think you could easily get away with like what I do if I'm going to a game, and I don't already have tickets if I'm like I'm gonna go to a game. I just wait till like the morning of, because
Yeah.
people are just start
Panic.
panic. Yeah, and there's usually like enough tickets around that you can get to. The only downside is you gotta. I think at that point you have to go through like a ticket master just to
Yeah.
get the quick
Oh,
around. Where
yeah.
there's other. I'm also curious on the ban. I don't know if you heard this, but like the Packers have revoked season ticket
Oh, yeah, it's
uh,
great.
from people that sell on those. So I wonder if that's going to impact your ability to get
Oh,
tickets too, because people might try to find other avenues to sell. But
yeah. You
if I
shouldn't
hear of
have
any,
if you're selling your tickets, sell them. Like,
yeah,
you shouldn't have them anymore.
that's dude, that's my I always say like that's my controversial take is like if you're not going to at least 50% of games, you shouldn't have tickets. Like,
Yeah, exactly. Or if you're not like, even if you're like not going, but you're sharing them with friends
yeah,
and it's a Packer fan in there, cool, that's fine. Like if you're like,
right,
hey, all four of us are going to split on it. You go to 2 games, I'll go to 2 games, you
yeah,
go to 2 games, like that, whatever, that's fine. As long as there's Packer games, but if you're doing it as a source of income,
dude. And too many
like
people
you're
are
a scalper.
a lot of bars do it. Like a lot of bars bought up a lot of tickets back in the day, or they had a lot of tickets back in the
Mhm.
60s or 70s when the Packers weren't great. They just started buying up all these tickets and doing it as like bar packages where they'd get a tailgate bus or whatever and do it. So a lot
Yeah.
of bars actually have a lot of tickets, and that's kind of their whole
I'm not as
shtick.
opposed to that though, but
No, that doesn't bother me as much, but there's too many individual people that that's like a source of income that they expect every year is to sell all those tickets. And those
yeah.
people irritate me a lot more.
Yeah, you're not a Packer fan then.
No,
Like, I don't care if you live in another, yeah, like what was the guy in Nevada is like all upset about it.
right.
Like, oh no, like I count on that money every year. Well, no.
Dude, yeah, it's not
That's
that shouldn't be how it works, and I'm glad they're cracking down on it.
yeah, that makes me
Is your
happy.
wife a Packers fan now?
She is now. Yep.
Was she a football fan prior, or is she
Nope.
just kind of like,
She goes for the outfits now. So she follows all the wags, all the
dude?
wives and girlfriends, literally all of them. She's
Yeah,
like, "Look, this is what Simone Biles is wearing this week. Look, this is what Jordan Love's with what what's her name?
Ronica.
Like, yeah, Ronica's wearing. This is what Tucker Kraft's wife's
Yeah,
wearing. Like, and then she has like all this stuff. Like my mom and dad gave her like a leather jacket, Packers jacket from the Super Bowl from 31. So she has that.
that's
She
awesome.
goes on like Depop and gets like vintage jackets. Like my birthday present for me this year is a jacket, a Packers jacket for the winter game.
That's dude. Let's
So
go, dude.
yeah,
Yeah, I
she's
dig
great.
that. I so what was her first experience? Because you guys got engaged. You
Oh
went,
yeah.
yeah.
So that game
Yeah.
we
So you
booked
got
it.
engaged, and that was her first game.
Yeah, because that trip was booked around that. And I was like, we're going to Packers game. I guess I'll ask you to marry me too. And she gets so mad because people will be like, oh yeah, how was your trip? I was like, it was great. Packers won.
Packers won, dude.
And then
What was the game you guys
the
watched?
Rams game,
Okay,
Packers Rams.
2021.
That was
No,
no 2023 or 24. It was
yeah, no,
when
you're right. 20
what's his
it
name
was
was injured.
22, and it was a cold game, right?
Yeah, it was
And
rainy
I
and
only
cold.
know because my wife and I were at that game, and
Oh,
she was we were pregnant with our child, and she didn't have morning sickness. She had all damn day sickness.
oh
And
no.
she was so miserable at that game that I thought she was going to throw up on the people in front of us from being morning sickness. And and that's the only reason I remember that it was 22 because
Oh
my
yeah.
born in 23. So,
Yeah, it was the game when Matt Stafford was injured, so they had
yep,
the backup.
yep,
Yeah.
yeah. And that was one of our only like, because that was a pretty rough year with Rodgers last year. I guess towards the tail end we kind of put some pieces together, but that was
Oh wait, no, wait, was maybe I went the year after then. Maybe that was the year because I love was
oh,
starting.
was it a warmer game then? Because
No,
you're
it was
right. Because that
rainy. It was rainy, but
you're right. You're right. Because that was Jordan's first year.
yeah, it was Jordan's first season starting.
Okay. Yep. So then that was 20. Were we still right on the year? 23. Yeah, it was 23.
Yeah, I think it was
Yeah, it
23.
was
So
23. I
yeah,
was thinking
because it was
22.
Jordan's first year.
Yep. Okay. I forgot that we played the Rams that many years in a row. Usually
Yeah.
that doesn't happen.
Well, I went to the Rams game last year in LA.
Okay. How was that
So
experience?
sick. So there's the SoCal Packer backers. Shout out
Yeah.
to them.
Yeah.
They're
Shout out to
great.
Dave and
Yeah.
dude. Yeah.
So nice. And they did like a thing before it, like in this parking lot. It was like $80 or $90 a person. But it was unlimited drinks and food and everything. There's some food like snacks, but it was mainly unlimited drinks. And it was all Packer fans do a huge rally before, so we tailgated there essentially. Then we went to the game. It had to be like 60 to 70% Packer fans.
Dang.
Insane. It was when the Packers scored, when Tucker Kraft had that giant run after the catch, the stadium blew up.
That's
It was so loud.
that's wild because the Rams aren't that far out from winning a championship, right?
No,
Like,
but it's LA.
yeah, it's LA, so they just don't have that. They just don't have a fan base at all, really. There, huh?
No, I just don't think. I think they do, but they do also LA people. Like, if you look at LA fans, other than the Dodgers, they just are like, there's a bunch of other stuff to do.
Sure.
You know?
Yeah. That's dude, that's another thing. Going back to the Chicago pet peeve is
Yeah.
the line they say is like,
Oh,
of course Packer games are busy. There's nothing to do in Green Bay. And it's like
yeah.
always, that's always like the line that people use. That I mean,
No, it's
Green
busy
Bay
'cause we
doesn't
get to
have
watch
a
the team
ton
win.
to do, like compared to a Chicago, but there's plenty to do if you're wanting to do something.
No, that's why I hit you up about a realtor. I'd love to move there. Like, I
Dude,
want to live there for like
yeah,
half the year.
yeah, dude. I think you should. My realtor's good. Aaron Kaspersky, shout out to you. I actually just gave her to someone else too. I recommended her to someone else. So I think you need to. I think that would be awesome.
Yeah.
Let's see here. I know we talked about a lot. I usually try to keep these around an hour to just
Yeah.
keep it.
I ramble. I'm sorry. I
Dude,
go off.
I wouldn't apologize for that at all. That makes for a good, like, honestly, I've done this for a long time. I did 50 episodes of something similar like years and years back. And there'd be some episodes that didn't make the release where it was like pulling teeth to get anything
Yeah,
out
like,
of
so
anyone.
what's this? And it's like one word answer.
Yeah,
Like,
dude. And you're just like,
how's
what
the
are we,
game? Good.
Yeah. And it's like,
Cool.
what are we doing here? And then you feel bad because you're like, oh, I can't put this out, but this person took the time, but like
Right.
there's just nothing here. So
I
would much rather have someone that has like, even if we're all over the place, like we've kind of been, at least is a little bit more of an organic conversation.
Right. I need to know what's the deal with Nicolette Law, because he's like everywhere.
Dude, yeah, Nicolay. Shout out to Russell. Dude, just he advertises heavy. He's a personal injury lawyer. He just helps people in the Midwest. So I met him at the draft, and he's just a normal dude. I don't know. It's like a
I
weird
see him everywhere.
dude. And in this
Oh,
area,
and your video is sponsored too.
yeah. So that's probably partially why you see him everywhere. Is like Matt, myself,
Yeah.
a lot of other like Cheesehead TV. I think they were doing some stuff with him for a while. But yeah, he's like, there's, I was going to say, there's another lawyer in the Milwaukee area that's very well known for his thing. I'm not going to mention his name, just for out of respect for Russell.
Yeah.
But like, I feel like when you're a lawyer at a certain level, I feel like that personality has to be there. And I think Russell's kind of like that too. Like, he was very well known for his billboards.
Yeah.
And that's where it kind of became like a running meme of like, if you're in Wisconsin or Minnesota when you start seeing the billboards. So he's just everywhere, man. He just he has a very must be a good sized marketing budget and must be good at what he does. And I like him because he's like a family run insurance company, like his brothers work for him and stuff like that.
That's
so
cool. Okay,
yeah, it's
before we go though, I need to hear about how crazy it was when Matthew Golden got called.
So I do have some other questions for you,
okay.
but I will
need to
tell
hear this
it
first.
Yeah, no, the other ones are quick. And if we're a little over, it's not a big deal. I'm not capped out at an hour or anything like that. There's been plenty that have went over for sure. But so it was really interesting because the draft is kind of odd because you are when you watch it. Have you ever been to any of them? Because they were in Chicago for a while. So when you watch on TV, they make a pick and the analysts will talk about the pick, or they'll talk about like the pros and cons of a pick, or they'll talk about the board. They'll talk about a lot of things. When you're at the draft, none of that happens.
Really?
They make the pick, the player comes out, does his thing, and then I was calling it great value Bruno Mars. It was like a guy who kind of looked like Bruno Mars that was doing a bunch of music, and he would just do songs. And he was doing like cover band stuff. And you're just like, okay. So then you're just sitting there waiting for like 9 to 10 minutes for the next one to happen.
Oh my
And there'd be
God.
like round one was like there's a little bit more banter. Like you had Seth Rollins there. I think that's who it is,
Oh
the
God.
wrestler guy.
You want to fight him?
Yeah.
Seth, I'm calling you out.
Dude, yeah. Yeah, he was playing the heel very well. But so like you had
Yeah.
some, but like round two was really like you're just like, man, this is kind of I have no idea how the board is. I have no idea about I don't follow college football a whole lot,
Yeah,
so I didn't know
neither.
about players. But going back to it, the Matthew Golden pick was kind of fun because Mark comes out and he's rambling. And my friend has a video. I should have stole it from him, but he's recording the whole thing. And Mark's rambling, and you hear someone yell, "But who are we picking, Mark?" Because Mark just keeps rambling. But it was really funny because Mark says, you know, for the first time since 2002, and you hear some of the crowd like go crazy because they know they're connecting the dots. They know it's a receiver.
Yeah.
Right. And then he goes, the pack, we're selecting or drafting a receiver, or we're picking a receiver. And then the rest of the crowd just goes nuts.
Goes crazy.
Yeah, dude. It was wild. Like it was, people are like high fiving, and people are, it was like you're talking about at that Packers bar where it was just like
Pure
jubilation
emotion.
of like people are like, oh my God, this happened. And
This
I'm here
happened.
witnessing it. Like,
Yeah.
you know, it's like the new Pope being elected or something like that. It was
Bigger.
so it was like really, dude, the whole experience was like super cool. I will say, leading up to it, they're like, hey, you gotta have this app to scan in, and security is gonna be tight. Security was so weak. It was wild how, dude, they were just like, there's one point, my friend, they weren't even like having you go through the metal detectors individually. You were kind of just going through in a crowd. So like my friend and I kind of went together through the metal detector together, and it went off. And I was like, I think it's on me because it always was beeping for me. And my friend just kept walking. They didn't stop him, and they just had me go through like another thing, and that was it. And like we didn't never once scanned our app.
That's
And
funny.
so I was just like, this doesn't make me, dude, there's someone inside. I probably shouldn't say this, but I'm going to. There's someone inside there with a knife on their like hip, and they got through no problem.
Oh my God.
The weirdest part though was there were snipers on the roof of Lambeau Field and some of the
No
hotels
way.
around. Like there's just snipers lined up, and you could
Oh
see
my
them all
God.
over, and they're just watching stuff going on in the crowd. And I'm like, that's pretty wild. I mean, maybe that's where they're saying security's amped up, because it wasn't to get in, that's for sure.
Yeah, they're like, "Oh, you have a knife? We don't care." That guy, the second he pulls that out, he's
Come
down.
on. Yeah. So it was wild. Like they're handing out, like a lot of companies were handing out free stuff. And
Oh, that's cool.
my friend had like 3 Red Bulls in his pocket because Red Bull was just handing stuff out. And he went through, and that's when it beeped. And I thought it beeped on me, but he just went through. And so he had 3 Red Bulls that he just brought with him. But yeah, it was
That's
a cool
rad.
experience. If they ever do it again, or if they ever do it
I
in like
know.
Phoenix,
I'm so
dude, I would
bummed
say
didn't
go check it out, because it was just a fun experience. But it is a little odd that you're sitting there and you're just like 9 minutes of waiting and
Like,
listening
just go
to
play
music
ESPN. Like, you know.
yeah, I honestly thought that would have some sort of like analysts mic'd up of like talking about what's going on,
Oh yeah.
just for people there, for the sake of like keeping people entertained. Day 3 they had, I don't watch NFL Red Zone, so I don't know if I know the guy's
Oh,
name.
that guy.
Scott,
Steve
is it
or
Scott
something?
Steve
Scott.
Hansen, Scott Hansen, something, whatever it
I
is.
think it's Scott Hansen.
He was there doing crowd work and stuff, and asking trivia questions and giving away prizes. And I thought that was a lot more entertaining than just listening to bad cover music. And not to knock the dude that was doing it.
Yeah.
He was talented. It's like, I don't want to listen to cover band
I can go to the
music
bar
whole
across
night.
the street.
Yeah,
and listen
right.
to it.
Exactly. So all right, I'll knock out these questions here for you. These are like my what I call my hot questions. They're just like the short questions meant to kind of catch you off guard here. So first one I got for you. You're a big beer guy. So if you could sit down and have a beer with any person associated with the Green Bay Packers, alive or dead, and I'm going to exclude Vince Lombardi, who would you choose and why?
First thing that comes to mind is Ray Nitschke, because I met him as a kid, and
Really?
I got to try on his Super Bowl ring, and it was like, even now I think it would have been big on me.
Oh,
Like,
probably.
it's huge. Like, he was just a big guy, so that'd be cool. But to have a beer with, the other person jumping out to me, maybe because I saw him today because he just got announced, but Nick Collins, that he would be fun because he was so smart and so talented and his career got short. But probably though, number one would probably be he plays for the Vikings now, Aaron Jones.
Dude, I don't I
He just sounds so much fun.
dude,
He just seems
I
like it'd
love
be fun to
Aaron
hang out
Jones.
with him. Nicest dude
Honestly,
ever.
one of the nicest guys I've ever met. Like so generous and so humble and just so great. So I
Yeah.
think that'd be a great conversation.
Like,
Even
or
though he
Josh
plays for the
Jacobs. I love Josh Jacobs. I bought his jersey last year, and that
Nice.
dude is just like the epitome of a Packer now.
Yeah,
Like,
I
you
would
could
agree.
never tell he played for another team ever in his life. He bleeds green and gold now more than like the only one who's as close to him is Xavier McKinney.
Yeah,
Like,
do you think it's because they've seen the grass on the other side of the
I think
like
so. Like, dude, they were the Giants and Raiders, two dysfunctional, like now dysfunctional
yeah.
teams. Like,
And they were a big part of that team, right?
yeah,
Josh Jacobs was the Raiders.
yeah,
I mean, Max Crosby on the defense for sure.
yeah.
But like Josh Jacobs, I saw the clip recently of Josh Jacobs talking about like people trash Green Bay, and he's like, dude, my money goes far here. Like I have a big house and it's not expensive. Like
And he's like,
and you're just like,
everything's ball.
dude, that's a yeah, he did say that it was like playing in college, but I feel like that's a good selling point. You can get a nice for an athlete, you could get a really nice house and it's
For
not
anyone. We were looking at houses in Green Bay. They're like
yeah.
200K.
Yeah, I mean, depending on where you're at, there's some places you don't want to live as much. I mean, it's not like Chicago, right? When you're Chicago and you don't want to live there, that's
Yeah.
different. But like, there are some places that you're like, it's probably not the greatest, but it's really not.
It's
not
still
that-
Green Bay.
Yeah,
like,
it's
it's
Green Bay.
Wisconsin.
It's that's valid. That's valid.
Yeah.
Next one here. If you could choose, if you could watch any game again for the first time, having the same emotions or feelings as you did the first time you watched it, which would you choose and why? And I always take out like championship games.
Oh, okay. So no Packers Steelers. That'd be one of
Yeah.
them. I would never want to ever. I'd curse myself if I had to watch that Seahawks game.
Dude, yeah,
I would
that's
blow
one
my
you'd
brains
avoid ever watching
Yeah.
again.
Honestly, it might be that Packers Bears game that I talked about earlier, just because that was such a roller coaster and it was such like that was when Aaron Rodgers wasn't insane. And when he was like
I mean, he probably was.
He was,
you know,
but he presented himself as a normal dude. Like that's why you liked Aaron Rodgers, because he was like, he's like, oh, it's a super smart quarterback that's just like a normal dude though in general, you know,
the Cali swag.
Yeah, he was like very humble always, and then obviously things change. But that would probably, that game was just so intense, and like even watching it, like when it pops up on like an Instagram reel, and you're like, I can watch this whole thing again
every time for sure.
Yeah,
dude. Anna gave us a great sound clip of my knee, like after the game where they're talking about like what happened. He's like high on perks, like my knee,
my
dude,
knee.
I love that sound clip. I think that's a great. When I was asking that question, my mind went to that game because just from your experience there. If you could attend any game in the history of the Green Bay Packers, minus a championship, so no Ice Bowl, Super Bowls, etc., what game are you choosing?
Packers game I would choose would be, I'm trying to think what I would. Packers Bears, when the Packers threw up 42 points the first half.
Dude, I was at that game. That was,
oh my gosh, what did you even do for the second half? Like just like chill out, like
cheer on Matt Flynn, and Casey Hayward had a pick six. And
man, I wish we never got rid of Casey Hayward.
Yeah,
big regret.
He had that like really good year in San Diego. I think it was San Diego at that time. I'm pretty sure it was.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, another guy that was just like super nice, humble dude. And I wish him nothing but the best. I'm with you. I was pretty bummed. You know, he struggled with injuries.
Too hurt.
Yeah, it was just like such a bad circumstance because we had just re-signed Burnett and we had just drafted HaHa. And so it's like, what do you do at that point? But Micah wasn't even like what he was for the Bills.
He played everything.
Yeah. I mean, hindsight's always one thing, right? But like, yeah, Micah was just, dude, and the kick return, the special teams, like, dude, everything. Yeah.
I know. They ruined kickoffs now. They're so boring. I don't blame Keyshawn for wanting to not do it.
I'm curious on how, if they're going to keep going that format.
I just don't
Well,
think it didn't do anything because unless you move the ball back,
yeah.
everyone's just gonna kick it out of the end zone again
Yep.
because it's not worth the risk of a return.
Yeah, you almost need to like make the penalty be so big that you
Like you
kick
get on the
like
40.
yeah. And I wonder if they're gonna start going that way. I don't know because this last year I felt like was at least better than the previous years. Because when it was before the new kickoff rule, dude, hardly anyone
Everyone.
ever kicked it. Like
Yeah.
everyone's just like, I'll take it at the 25. It's fine. Kick it out of the end zone. Kick it out of the end zone. Kick it out of the end zone. At least we
Yeah.
saw some returns, but I feel like they need to keep making that penalty a little bit.
But the
worse.
NFL doesn't want kickoffs though.
I think
Like
I
they
think you're
really
right.
don't.
But
And
it's such a shame because if you think back to
Desmond
the
Howard
90s, right? Desmond Howard would not
changed
have
the
made the
game.
and he would not have made that roster. Think about all the
Oh
players
yeah.
over the years that would not
Devin
have made a
Hester.
roster. Dude, yeah. All these guys that would have not have made a roster had special teams not been that interesting. And I'm not even those are bigger names, right? Like I'm thinking
Yeah.
even like the Spencer Havners that were like
Oh yeah.
I mean, he came in and caught some touchdowns as a tight end, but like those are like the specialty. Jarrett Bush
Yeah.
was a depth chart cornerback, but he was an incredible gunner. And you start taking out some of these like special teams plays, and now
Yeah.
you're taking people out of jobs that contribute to the NFL that they're just maybe not the. I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know. I feel for those guys, but I do
I
understand
miss
that
it.
like the danger of it too. Like I wouldn't
Yeah.
want to be like sprinting full speed, 30
Yeah.
yards downfield and just getting blocks and.
Yeah.
But I'm with you. They need to do something because those
Yeah.
kickoffs, dude, it almost is like just an extra commercial break at that point because they
Exactly.
do the kickoff and go to another commercial break, and you're just like, all right, cool. Glad we did that. Last one here for you. You wake up tomorrow, and the Packers don't have a traditional owner, but you wake up tomorrow and you are the owner. You have full control over everything. What is the first decision or first thing you are deciding to do?
First thing I would do, find a way to bump all those people. Anyone who doesn't stand at a game, you lose your season ticket. You're gone.
Yes. Let's go.
You complain about people standing, go home.
You're out.
Like if you want to sit, go watch the game at home.
Dude, I feel like you're getting me all riled up because these are all the things I vent about. Because when you depending on the games you go to, depending on like the gold package is bad. Like when you guys go to the Washington game, I'm sure that's gonna be bad. Like it's gonna be those are the ones that they're like, sit down, be quiet. And you're just like, dude, I swear. Like, why are you even here?
I flew across the country for this game. I'm gonna stand and scream the entire game.
Dude,
I do not like. How do you not? You have home field advantage. You want to do that. If you want to go sit and watch a game, sit and at your home and watch the game. There's no difference. Why are you gonna go sit at a stadium with a worse view if you're not there for the energy?
I'm gonna ask you this because I have a theory here. Do you think it's that way because the Packers have been so good for so long that fans feel like they can just show up and watch the game? Because when you watch games back in the 90s, the crowd was rocking. Like, dude, the crowd was going nuts and they were creating a home field advantage. Do you think fans have gotten so spoiled now because they're used to winning that
I
they're
think
just
they've
like,
gotten
I'm
spoiled and they're old.
That's probably the other dynamic.
It's both. Like you look at in the 90s, that's 30 years ago now. Those people are 60 now. They're allowed. And they're still going to the games.
Yeah.
But you have to have home field advantage. You have you built the stadium that's super loud now because of how big it goes.
Yep.
Like it's all the sound stays in there. It should be like opposing players should have to silent count.
Yeah.
Every game.
I would vote for you as an owner if I had that ability just for that alone, because it is very frustrating how even if you're standing, sometimes people try to get security involved and you're just like, what are we doing? Like we're at a sport event. I'm expected to be standing and make noise,
The only time you should be sitting is on offense.
Yeah. Sit down, relax.
And don't do the wave while on offense.
Dude, I might vote for you for president if we're being honest, man.
You want free healthcare too? Got that.
Dude, I'll take that. Anything else that you feel like we didn't capture? I know we've been.
No, I'm just super excited to come to Green Bay and meet you and actually hang out with y'all.
Yeah.
And make you take a fake shot with me.
I don't know if I'll get down for the Thursday night, admittedly, because of the fact that
Well, then tell Matt he's gonna have
Yeah,
to take a shot. In your
I'm gonna text him after this. But I don't know. We'll see though. Why? Because I have my son's gonna be 2 here next month, so it's a little bit harder to get away like I once did. Just
Well, then
because,
we'll try to meet up Wednesday for a beer.
Yeah, dude.
Or dinner.
Yeah, dude.
I keep saying beer because it's
no, that's fine. That's fine. You can say beer. I know what you mean.
Yeah.
Or like wings or something like that. I'm for sure down. I'm for sure.
Yeah, because I'd love you to show me some local spots to go to.
Dude, so when you and your wife are coming in, I actually have a website. I don't know if you know that. I have a website, thegreenbayguy.com. So feel free to check that out. I got stuff about tailgating. I got stuff about places to eat, drink. Drink is not as good just because I don't drink. Right?
Have Matt consult you on that.
Yeah. Matt knows like the
writer.
really, Matt knows the really like dive bars because Matt knows like the Boondocks bars for sure.
That's sick.
But there's a lot like food. I know I like food. I eat a lot of food. So, but yeah, always feel free to message me too. And that goes to anyone listening.
And tell your friends to hit me up about watching a game here.
Yeah, dude, for sure. I'm gonna reach out to them here after I get done with this. So
yeah, because I'd love to more people to watch games with, the better. Because like a lot of times I've been watching at my house. Sometimes I get too stressed and I have to watch at my house, like playoffs. Like that's kind of a house thing because it's stressful.
Well, and it's tough too at those public places. Some fans just are like, I struggle with certain fans that are just like, one bad thing happens and they're like, oh, there's the game. Yes. And they're just like super, and you're just like, dude, there's so much time left. Just calm down.
The self-loathing Packer fans need to stop. That's my other thing as the owner. Yeah. Like, dude, chill out. Yeah. Like, they're like, our team's never going to do anything, blah, blah, blah. Like, we're in the playoffs every year. We went from Brett Favre to Aaron Rodgers to Jordan Love.
Yeah.
And went to the playoffs year after with Love. Like, what do you mean? Like, in a team that had no business even competing that year.
Yeah. Dude,
we were in a rebuild and we went to the playoffs. Like,
we're super fortunate. Like you said, you could have been a Bears fan, and then it's like you're just hoping that you can get to the playoffs sometime every like 5 years or
decade.
So.
Yeah, because it's funny because like what was his name? He does Barstool, but Big Cat.
Yeah, Big Cat.
He's like, the thing with the Bears is we're never good consistently. We luck into being good. We'll have a spin-off year where all of a sudden we win 10 games.
Yep.
We won't, like, even the Super Bowl. That was just a random off year. It's an anomaly. Good years are anomalies. Like, it's not like, even with Lovie Smith, like, he was solid, but he wasn't like a powerhouse.
Nope.
He had that one year that they did well, but that was Devin Hester almost carrying that team because you just couldn't kick to him.
And he's not wrong. I mean, it feels like the Vikings do that too, where they'll just like fall into like random really good years.
Yeah,
and then they'll like
they set them up together better though.
They do. They rebound and build back a lot quicker. I'm
I
curious.
was shocked how good they were last year.
I think everyone was. I did Matt's show and I made a prediction that I thought the Vikings were going to be fourth in the division, and then it was not. I was very.
Well, everyone thought that. Like they had so much bad stuff happen. They had the guy passing away.
Yep.
They had
Darnold coming in. And
Sam Darnold, like you can't expect them to do anything with that.
And then JJ McCarthy got hurt right away, and you're just like, all right, they're gonna have
a cursed. So, but shout out to Kevin McConnell, or is that
KMC? Yeah. No, McConnell KMC. Yeah, whatever his name is.
Yeah, he's a fantastic coach, though.
Yeah.
And even the Detroit coach is really good. He's a little too crazy. Like
KOC Kevin
O'Connell. You're right.
O'Connell? I don't know. Whatever.
I think it is. I know. I don't. We know what you mean.
Yeah. But we know Matt LaFleur. That's all that matters.
Ryan Reynolds lookalike.
And that is going to do it for today's episode with Thomas. I want to say a huge thank you to Thomas for taking the time to record his episode. I had such a blast talking with Thomas. He is a riot. I can't wait to get together with him when he comes to town for the Washington game this year. It's going to be such a fun time. I also want to say thank you to Nicolay Law for making our giveaways possible and sponsoring this show. Really, I can't thank them enough. So if you are injured, get Nicolay. If you want to be on an episode of Tales from the Tundra, you can find a link in the show notes or the comments on how to apply. I'd love to hear your story. And until next week, my name is Ben. thank you so much for taking the time to listen, watch, support, however you're supporting. And we'll see you next week, same time, same place. So go Pack Go, and see you then.